Okay, ladies, we're going to be talking about why you're still struggling, why you are still struggling in your love life. Either finding a man who wants to take care of you and cherish you, or if you got a man, why he's not fully cherishing you and taking care of you, even if you have spent all of this time doing healing work, doing trauma work, feeling your feelings and working through your wounds. Now, this is going to be useful for any woman, this video, but this will be especially important, useful, informative for women who have spent a lot of time doing therapy or breath work or pretty much any other kind of healing modality to heal childhood trauma. You know, a lot of women in our academy program, our Relationship Your Dreams Academy program, have spent years, if not literally decades, working through their trauma. And before they started working with us, still didn't have the devotion that they wanted in their love life. Either they're still single or they're just in a depolarized, unhealthy relationship that's not filled with devotion. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I am Zach Rohde, and I'm here to lead you into the relationship of your dreams using instinctual polarity and masculine and feminine communication. So what is going on? Why is it that women can spend literally decades doing all of this healing work, feeling all of their feelings, doing their weekly therapy sessions, whatever else that they're doing? And after all of it, I'm not saying it's not useful. It is useful, right? Like, I'm assuming a woman's doing it right. Typically, it should be transformative doing all of that stuff in many ways. So I'm not here to bash that stuff. It's necessary to be able to help a woman, first of all, access all of her feelings and feel all of her feelings. You know, polarity work isn't going to work very well if you're not able to feel your feelings, if you're completely dissociated and shut down, or you're completely emotionally dysregulated. But it's not going to get women where they want to go. So imagine this. Let's talk about therapy for a moment. So many women are doing therapy today. It's crazy. It's crazy how many women have to do therapy, have to talk to a psychologist or therapist or whatever to work through their childhood trauma, because their parents didn't give them that emotional safety, that love, that care and support, and also sometimes boundaries, loving expectations, all of that stuff that they needed in childhood for a child to thrive. Right? And we all get traumatized in childhood to one extent or another. I certainly did. No child gets through it unscathed. Some children get through it much, much, much worse than others. You got all these women that are going to therapy, and basically, I mean, there's all kinds of therapy, so I don't want to paint a totally broad brush here. So I'm going to be generalizing. I do some generalizing sometimes. So you're in therapy and you're talking about childhood stuff or just things that are coming up, talking about your feelings, talking about problems you're experiencing, and digging, right? You're basically digging for how all of this trauma happened in the first place. Why you're not functional in the way that you need to be, or not happy in the way that you need to be, why you're not thriving in the way that you need to be, and why you're not getting that outer reflection as well that you need as far as your love life and just life in general. So you can dig forever doing that. You can literally spend the next century, the next multiple lifetimes, digging through all of that trauma, letting it come up to the surface, and it will be useful to a degree. You'll probably feel happier, right? Because the more pain that comes up to the surface for you to process, and I'm talking about good therapy here, because there's a lot of bad therapy that's doing much less than this, but a lot of when that pain is coming up to the surface and you're putting your attention on it and you're just fully feeling it, then you're releasing it. You're releasing a lot of that stored trauma that has been trapped in you literally your whole life, because when it accumulated in you in childhood, you didn't know how to deal with it, how to cope. Okay, so you pushed it aside and it became buried, and now it's coming up as you dig, as you dig, as you dig. But the problem is trying to heal all of your trauma through therapy, or pretty much any other modality, in isolation, right, where it's not combined with polarity work. Because again, I'm not saying that stuff is bad. I'm just saying without polarity work, at least in addition to that, you're always going to be bringing more and more of it up. What is going to shift a person so much faster, I'm talking about like 100 times faster, is to move through the trauma-based patterns, trauma-based behavior patterns in your life. Now, when I say trauma-based, what do I mean by that? I mean like any pattern that you're exhibiting, and I'm talking specifically in your love life, but it could be anywhere, right, that is not in line with your feminine instincts, right? Because if you were truly feminine embodied, how would you be showing up? You would just be fully letting go. You'd be fully vulnerable. You'd be in your heart. Your heart would be on your sleeve. When you express, you're fully emotionally responsible. You're not blaming or judging or accusing. You're also not inhibiting yourself in any kind of way. You're not complying with undevoted leadership. You're not exposing yourself to, criticism and, a man being judgmental or anything like that. You're just fully sharing everything that's coming up for you. You're asking a man for help all the time because you have no problem communicating your needs and asking for help. And you don't see yourself as a burden in any kind of way. That whole fear and judgment of being a burden, of being too much, of being too emotional, all of that stuff. Of course, that's all trauma. And so it causes these kind of trauma patterns. Trauma patterns for you to stay safe. And so you're stuck in those patterns. And basically what needs to happen ultimately for you to reach that embodied state as a woman is for you to move through all of those patterns, which will be scary, right? There will be fear that will come up when you're moving through those patterns, right? If you're a woman that's a doormat, for example, who complies with undevoted leadership or who exposes yourself to things that you shouldn't be with the man, or you settle for breadcrumbs, right? All of those are certain trauma patterns that women have. If you decide, I'm not doing that crap anymore. No, thank you. I need to be more in my self-worth. I'm no way, I'm not complying anymore. I'm also not going to start setting boundaries and masculinize myself in a different way, right? Because setting boundaries is masculine. Telling a man no is masculine. But there's a way to do it using feminine communication, to share your heart, to ask permission for what you need, to share your feelings vulnerably, and then also to be willing to flow away from a man if he doesn't care. I'm not a feminine embodied woman. She's not going to set boundaries. She doesn't have the time and energy for that. Okay, I shared my feelings. You don't care. Bye. I'm going to go find a man who cares about me and who sets boundaries for himself, right? So when you decide to move through those patterns, that's going to be terrifying. It's going to bring up a ton of fear, which is why most people don't, and let's talk specifically about women here, because I'm talking more about women on this live, why women tend to avoid moving through those behavior patterns, because it's terrifying. Because they were taught in childhood that it's not safe to do anything other than the unhealthy behaviors that they're stuck in. So you move through the fear. And then what happens? Well, what happens is sometimes it'll go well, whatever you're doing. And when it goes well, now you're getting this evidence that, oh my God, wait a minute, I'm worthy. It's like you're operating on these limiting beliefs that you're not worthy, that you're a burden in some kind of way. And you're always trying to prove yourself or avoid being too much, whatever. When you get evidence that, wait a minute, I am worthy, you start to heal, right? You're healing with a man's love. You can't do that in therapy. I mean, if it's a male therapist and he genuinely, truly cares about you, then you could heal some aspects of that. But for the most part, you're not going to heal that much relative to what I'm talking about. until you shift the pattern. Because even if you bring stuff up and a person cares, like a professional cares, that's different than actually moving through the trauma pattern, right? Like if a man does something that you don't like, moving through a trauma pattern could be sharing what's coming up for you, like sharing your feelings vulnerably and asking for help. Okay. And then when you get that care, now it's that evidence, wow, oh my God, am I worthy? Am I actually worthy of care? And so that's one thing that can happen. And then the other thing that can happen is that it doesn't go well, right? And in our academy program with our students, that has to be the process. It doesn't matter how much support women get, it's not going to always go well, even if they did things perfectly, because their man or the men that they're dating, they're not going to show up perfectly. So it's not going to show up perfectly. And so sometimes they're going to get evidence that basically proves that limiting belief about themselves true. That, oh my God, I am a burden. I am too much. What was I thinking going out of my unhealthy behavior pattern? I should have stayed safe and kept complying or kept avoiding sharing my feelings or whatever. So you're going to get those bad outcomes sometimes. But then that is where it's also another beautiful opportunity to feel your feelings. Because what's going to come up when you get those bad outcomes? Probably shame is going to be a really common one. Embarrassment, a lot of the time. Guilt, possibly. Sadness and anger, reasonable amount of the time. And fear. Okay, all of those are going to come up at some time. Now, what are those feelings? Some of those feelings are coming from instinct. Okay, like that's just your feminine instinctual programming as a woman. But a lot of it, especially the shame and guilt and sadness, there's going to be a lot of trauma that's coming up to the surface. And guess what? Well, just like in therapy, where you went digging for your little inner child that's been wounded to bring that stuff to the surface, you're doing that with the polarity work. You're just feeling the feelings that are coming up instead of going into another internal unhealthy behavior pattern, which is usually what do women typically do when they start feeling shame, for example? Beating themselves up or externalizing it and getting angry so they don't really feel the shame and blaming. Neither of which are going to result in being happy or a healthy relationship or healing. Okay, but now you have this beautiful opportunity to heal because you shifting the pattern has brought this up for you. Okay, so this is why polarity work, there's nothing else like it in the world to heal. It's how we're really designed to heal as men and women, right? And for men, it's like, and by the way, I have spent years, like literally a decade of just learning how to feel my feelings fully in my body, like hours a day of like literally meditated on all the feelings that have come up for me for days and days in a row. I think the longest was 2 weeks. I've also done like 10 Vipassana meditation retreats, 10 days each, all kinds of stuff. And that was good. I'm not saying that wasn't healthy or helpful. It was, but nothing healed me like actually learning how to lead as a man and learning how to emotionally center myself and move through my own trauma patterns of withdrawing or attacking. It's usually withdrawing or attacking, or avoiding, right? Just not avoiding, not stepping up and leading when there's something that doesn't feel right, when my wife is disrespecting me in some way. There's nothing that even comes close. And so that's why we have women in our academy program who have done this healing stuff. And it's not like every woman in our academy has done years or decades of healing stuff. Some have done pretty much none, right? And so we need to work with them, do some emotional support, help them emotionally regulate. Even women who've done a lot of emotional work might need help emotionally regulating, maybe helping them with dissociation, helping with them with the patterns of the self-judgment stuff, all of that. Because as a woman learns how to do that, now the external polarity work of shifting the patterns becomes increasingly useful, right? Because no matter what happens, it's like, first of all, you need to know how to shift with the external patterns, right? Because if you continue doing stuff the wrong way, if you continue communicating the wrong way, and a lot of this is very subtle, if you continue doing that, you're not actually going to heal. You're not actually going to get the kind of response that you want from a man either. You're not going to get those positive outcomes, positive reinforcement. You're going to get a lot of negative ones, and eventually you're going to feel like crap and want to just give up. It's like, why bother? So you actually need to know exactly how to shift these. So that's why women that are in our program end up, even if they've been doing this healing stuff forever, for many years, decades even, within a matter of months, sometimes, a year, sometimes it takes more than 1 year, they're able to heal all this stuff and actually finally get that devoted man, that devoted leadership in what I call a dream relationship, a polarized relationship, where they can fully let go and just be seen, just be led, just be taken care of, don't need boundaries. They can literally share everything that's in their heart. They don't have to hold back in any kind of way. They don't have to manipulate. They don't have to control. And I'll never say like, hey, a person is fully healed, because a person can always become more healed over time, myself included. All right, we all have further work to do. But if we gauge, some people won't like this measurement, but a good way to gauge how healed you are is to look at what you are receiving in your love life. Right. And if you've got a man, if you don't have a man, well, that's pointing to a lot of unhealed stuff. Okay. No matter what the justification, rationalization is, unless your man like just died recently. Or where was I? The external reflection, or you're in a relationship and you're not getting that devotion, right? Where everything is just effortless and you're just being taken care of. That's a reflection that, wow, you've got a lot of work to heal, a lot of trauma to heal still. Because there's the trauma, which will make you have certain beliefs, and the feelings from the trauma will compel you into certain behaviors, and the beliefs and the behaviors will, basically manifest something that you don't want, right? And then you'll get that reflection that you don't want. So polarity work is all about healing those patterns as quickly as possible, quickly as reasonably possible, so you can get a different reflection and you can truly heal and feel everything that comes up as you do it. Every step of the way, you're feeling everything that comes up. And that's why this can happen relatively quickly. So I've got something special for women who are interested in learning more about how to heal with polarity work. Our next masterclass that we are doing, I have called it Heal Your Heart with Polarity Masterclass. The Heal Your Heart with Polarity Masterclass. And all of our masterclasses are different. In like the last 6 months or so, we've never done the same one. We've never done this one before. Don't know if we will ever do it again. This one is going to be specific on what I've been talking about in this video. We're going to show you exactly how you can heal yourself, heal those wounds that you have been carrying your whole life and trying to heal, and you've healed some of them, but how to really supercharge this healing so that you're not just feeling better about yourself, you're not just loving yourself more, you're not just more functional as a person, you're actually also getting that devotion from a man who really cares about you, which is what every woman needs to truly thrive, without exception. Okay, there is nothing like this healing work, like polarity work. We're going to show you exactly how to do it. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. So if you have not yet booked your spot for this masterclass, it's in less than 2 weeks. I think it's in 12 days, 11 or 12 days. It's on October 12th. Go to polaritymasterclass.com. The address is right below my face. You just type that in. polaritymasterclass.com, book your spot, and I will see you there. And it's going to be if not the best 2 hours of your life, learning how to use polarity, use these tools, use these understandings, use these behavior shifts, as well as learn how to emotionally regulate and all the other prerequisites to using this polarity work to heal yourself as quickly as possible and get what you want in your love life. It's going to be amazing. See you there, polaritymasterclass.com. Don't miss it.